So a little while ago, I picked up this from an eBay auction. I wasn't actually looking for this, but it reminded me very much of something else that I was looking for. If you're curious, this is what was in that box. It's called a Galaxy Gun 2001, but I have no idea when it was actually produced. But what it reminded me of was this. This takes me smack bang back to my childhood. You can see why it reminded me. The dial on the side is very, very similar, and there's a very, very similar concept. You twist the dial, you get different effects from the gun. Now this is a Toytronic electronic laser rifle phase 4, which reminded me a lot of that Ant film that came up on some of the eBay searches when I was hunting for this. And I have been hunting for this for nearly 2 months. And it does this, and this will be loud, so if you're on headphones, just turn your headphones down, okay? So this is, and I should have worn my glasses, machine gun. Slow. This is going towards force ray. This is laser. It's hurting my ears, let alone yours. And then we get up to stun, which is quite stunning. Now, for me, this is all about imagination. And I say that because this was my anything gun. It could have been Buck Rogers, it could have been Flash Gordon, it could have been Star Wars, it could have been anything from my childhood that required me to have a laser gun, basically. And you can, Space 1999, although their guns were very different to these, but, anything from that era, it was actually quite hard to find specific guns for. I actually remembered when I was sort of looking into this sort of, item, when I was doing random searches, trying to remember what it was called in the first place, that I actually had a Flash Gordon gun, and they appear to be going for quite a lot of money, so I haven't actually picked one up as yet, but I'm sure I had one. They look like sort of normal sort of pistols, but with a sort of a sight on top, but they're white like this one ought to be. And this is, the reason I got this one, and as you can see, it's quite yellow. It's a classic white plastic, gone old sort of colour. The reason I got it is, A, it works, which is incredible 40 years down the line, but B, they hardly ever come up. I've seen one on Etsy, but that had sold, but that gave me the name for this to search for. But I've been hunting on eBay for a couple of months, so as soon as this came up, I thought, I'm just going to have to grab it, because if I don't grab it, it's one of those classic situations where you have to ask yourself, where will I find another? The only other time I've ever seen this in the wild recently was on a Froggy Flips video in the United States of America, which wasn't going to help me, and it was silver. Now, in terms of who makes it, Toytronic, I've seen other electronic things that they've made on eBay. And there is actually a little bit of writing on the what do you call it? Is it the butt of the rifle? Is that what you call this bit that goes into your shoulder? And one of the things that made me chuckle that does say Toytronic there. You might even be able to get a date off that at some point, but that's definitely Toytronic. The thing that makes me smile about this is it is so much smaller than I remember it being. I remember this being sort of full-size grip from my hand, and now I can get about 2 fingers onto it. But you can see it was quite sort of, they were thinking about it being used like that. And it is termed apparently, its official name is a laser rifle rather than a sort of a laser gun or a laser pistol. So if you are ever searching for one yourself, if you happen to remember this at all, you want to put that into the search term probably, because that might help you pick one out. Although there aren't many products done by Toytronic, so you will probably find it if you're hunting for it. But yeah, it just takes me back to, because I just love the fact that you can just make different noises and different light speeds using a dial. That's what kind of stuck in my head about it, I think, because obviously if you want to sort of, increase your firepower or whatever, you just have a little knob that you can do it with. Which I think it's one of those very, very simple but clever play ideas, which I think just really, really works. It takes a 9-volt battery, and as I say, the contacts are in really, really good nick. I mean, the rest of it's a bit yellowy, but the actual electronics seem to be, absolutely fine. And I've had this with a lot of the sort of the 80s stuff that I've picked up. The solid state electronics have done incredibly well for themselves over time. Very, very few of them don't work. So you've got to hand it to them. They'd actually built them to last. It seems, and I've no idea how expensive this was. When I had it, I have absolutely no idea how it was marketed or any of that. So if you know, let me know in the comments, because I would be sort of curious as to why I ended up with it. But I remember using it in school plays and stuff like that. I used it as a prop because it was just fun, and it lit up, and because it lit up, that's why I could make it into any sort of laser gun I wanted it to be, because it just had that was the feeling it gave me, that it just was any sort of laser gun I wanted it to be. So I just like it because I don't think it has a tie-in with anything else. It just is. So I'd be interested to hear if you've got any random toys like this that you used your imagination on and turned them into something else. Into whatever it was that you were into at the time as a kid. Was there something that you substituted for something else because you couldn't afford the actual thing? I think that's a distinct possibility. I guess that's what knockoffs kind of base their existence on, of course. But I don't think this was a knockoff, because I'm not aware that this was copying anything in particular. But if you know better, please do let me know in the comments. If you had one in America, let me know in the comments, because again, I'm intrigued as to who it was who was sort of selling these, sort of here, there, and everywhere. If indeed, that was what I saw in that video, which obviously. It was a random video. I haven't been able to find it again. I haven't gone looking for it again since, but let me know. Yeah, so I just wanted to share that little bit of joy with you, really. And what was even more fun was that the eBay seller, bless their cotton socks, had sent it to me in a box sort of yay big, and then inside that box was another box about yay big with this in it, and it was almost like playing past the parcel. It really took me back even just doing that. So yeah, it was a fun thing to receive, and fun thing to find, having hunted for it for quite so long. So what's the longest you've ever hunted for something in an attempt to find one? That would be another interesting thing to hear in the comments. So that's it for this one. Cheers for now. Catch you for the next. Bye.